Okay. Well, really quick with this one, this is where we stopped last time. And basically, the order is going to matter because with the first triangle, it didn't matter. You can start anywhere you wanted on the first triangle. So you start anywhere. First triangle. So you can start anywhere. So that's for the first triangle. You could have started at D. You could have went from D to A up to E, or E, D, A. That's fine too. But then, wherever you start for the first triangle, that's going to tell you exactly where you start for the second triangle. And I think when we revisit that example, I think that's what's going to happen. I think we talked about, I think I started at a different point. So, now, so the triangle congruency order is going to matter. And then once you determine the order, that's sort of also going to help you determine which one of our congruences. Now, again, going back from last time, the example with this bow tie, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. It's going to look slightly different. I know it's not the best. Remember, these angles right here. What were these angles called? You get to the V. Vertical. Vertical. They're vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? Same measure. So vertical angles are always going to be congruent. So that vertical angles. Vertical angles. And then again, that's a side angle side deal. Remember, our sides were already deemed congruent. And then since this angle, since the vertical angles is between the two sides, that's an automatic side angle side deal. So I think what's going to happen going forward, you're going to get the diagram. Also going to set up the triangle congruence. So with the first triangle, again, you can start anywhere, but the second one, second triangle, that should be triangle. You have to follow the order. Follow order of first triangle. Okay, questions? So start anywhere for the first triangle. Second one, you have to follow the order of the first triangle. Okay, questions? And then you get your triangle congruence. You get it from the diagram. All right? Okay, so that's where we are going forward. Any other questions? So give everybody a moment to digest that information. And when you're ready, we'll go to the next slide. So does everybody have that? We're ready for the next slide? You got that too, Catherine? Ready for the next slide? All righty. And away we go. All right, let's look at this next one. So, which triangle congruence? Given a diagram. Well, we don't need to Y part. Well, we do and we don't. So I think I worded this wrong. But actually, given what we see here, given our diagram, who could guess which one of these? A side angle side, side side side, angle side angle, angle angle side, or the hypotenuse leg? Which one do you think it'll be right off the bat? Who would like to take a guess?
I feel like angle side angle.
You said angle side angle, Catherine. Why?
Because both of the corners have angles.
Okay.
And the side, they have tip marks.
And where's that side located?
Right, R and S and R and Q.
Okay, so then, well, also the side that's marked, where's that side marked? Is it between the angles or is it away from the angle?
Between.
Very good. Okay, in the end, this is going to be an angle side angle. So, and we'll talk about the triangle congruence momentarily. But this one's going to be an angle side angle because, let's say if we split this triangle apart into two smaller triangles. So notice how the first is an angle, the middle is the side, the other is the angle. Because when we write the second triangle down, sorry, it's not going to be the best drawing, but idea is the same. Again, you have an angle, the side, the angle. So that's why it's going to be an angle side angle deal. Now, how are we going to set up our triangle congruence? Now, for the first triangle, does it matter the order we use for the letters for the first triangle? No. So, the first triangle right here. So we'll say this is triangle number 1. How do you want to name that first triangle? Who can tell us? QRP. All right, I'll take that. So we have QRP. So we went from angle Q down to R, and then up to P. Now be careful with the second one. Not a bad guess. Because here you started with the first triangle, we started with the 2 marks. What should we start with down here?
QSR.
It's going to be RQS, and here's why. Here's why it's going to be RQS. Because, okay, with QRP, start with Q, go down to R, and then up to P. Notice how the purple angle was the one that's in the center, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to match that in the second triangle. You have to make the purple angle the turning point as well. Because when we were saying QRS, that's not a bad idea. But that's when you make the orange angle the turning angle. But we had to flip it because since we make the turning angle the purple angle for the first triangle, no, the one with the single arc or the single slash mark, you got to do the same thing here for the second one. You got to make that one. So that's why the order matters for the second triangle. First one, not so much. But the second one has to matter. So you got to be careful. Now, you may not. It says might have the angles already separated. Here it was a little confusing because I know QR, RQ are the same side. But once you make that ink the turn in that first triangle, then the second triangle, it looks like it's, you gotta watch your turns. So that one was a tougher one. Now, I think what's gonna happen, I think what we're gonna do is, in the actual test, you'll either get the congruence or you're just gonna get the diagram. But then you have to say why. Okay, questions on this one? Because I know that one was a little tough. All right, hold on a second. All right. All right, so let's talk about the next one. All right. The next one. So we were like that triangle. All right. Again, you have the shared side. So right away, if we just look at the two triangles, or if you want to split them up, you can. Okay. What triangle congruence, given what we see right away? Now, anytime you have a shared side, the shared side is always congruent. We agree to that, right? Here's our shared side. We agree that's always going to be congruent for both triangles, right? Because you see the side in both. Like you see XZ here, you see XZ there. So that's automatically going to be congruent. Now, right away, what type of congruence? So is it going to be a side angle side, a side side side, angle side angle? So let's look. What's marked? What's marked in all three cases? We see that all three were marked with sides. We see that all three sides they're marked. In this case, that's automatically going to be a side, side, side. Oops. So that's a side, side, side deal. Now, let's think about the triangle congruence. And again, your order's got to matter. Okay, so we're going to do Y, X, Z. Okay, we can do that for the first one. So you just, okay, I see what you're doing. So this is going to use this bottom triangle as the first one. That's fine. You can say Y, X to Z in the first one. I'm okay with that. So she's going from Y to X up to Z. Okay, we can do that. So let's go Y, X, Z. So she started at Y, and then she went down the first side. Okay, hold on. Let me just do that. YXZ, okay. So now, in the end, the other one's going to be WZX. You got it. Because you start at 1, down, and then the 3, and then back into 1, 3, 2. That's what she did. You got to redo that over here. Because here we went 1, 3, 2. I'm talking about the number of hash marks. Does everybody see where we're getting the 1 through 2? Number of slash marks? You got to follow the same. So, top one is the W to Z, has that first one. So if we want Z to W, that's okay. But in the W to X, can't do that. Because then you went 1, 2, 3. Here we gotta go 1, 3, 2. And then at Z, you go to X, and then X would have went back to W. But again, that's gonna be the key. Watch your order. The sides is not so bad because you see exactly what order you're taking. But again, the first triangle, do whatever you want. Second triangle, you gotta follow the order, give it a first. All right. Questions on this one? Okay. Oh, all right. I think this next one we actually did. The only difference is, I think we just talked about a congruence statement more. So we know right away, again, maybe vertical angles, they're going to be congruent. So right away, what type of congruence will we have here?
Side equals side.
Yeah, that's going to be a side angle side deal. Now, again, side angle side. That's when we get the side angle side. Now, going back to the triangle congruence. This is going to be more of a triangle congruence practice. Which triangle do you want to start with? One on the top or the one on the bottom? All right, we'll start with the top one. How do you want to name the top triangle? Say it again. AED. Okay, we can do that. So we want 2, 0, 1. That's what we did. 2, 0 slash, and a 1 slash. But now you got to follow the 2, 0, 1 deal up here. Say it again. It's going to be ACJ. Yeah. That's what we have going on here. Start at 2, A to C, then side with 0, and then go back to 1. All right, questions? Anybody have any questions on this one? Oh, I know it was a repeat of what we did before. You know what? I think I did double. Oh, I think the next one is a repeat too. No, it's a repeat. All right. Well, congratulations. I think, okay, we doubled up accidentally. All right. All right, so real quick. Well, again, we know this is what? What type of angles? What type of congruence statement?
Angle, side angle.
Okay, that's an angle side angle. Now, again, which triangle do you want to pick first? You want to pick the one on the top or the one on the bottom? All right, Name your bottom triangle, Jason, any way you want to do it.
RSQ.
RSQ, okay. So we went from R, S to Q. Now again, he started here. So he started here. With the S, then he went up to Q. Now, in the second triangle, so we went from the orange to no to the purple. Where must we start in the top triangle? Which letter? Notice he started at the bottom. He started at the orange angle. If you gotta go QPR, yeah, because if you start at orange, you have to start at orange up here. So we went from orange, blank, purple. Got to do the same thing. You start at orange, you got to go to the blank, then to the purple. That's okay. Now, but again, do we get the angle side angle from the order of the letters, or do we get it from the diagram? Where do we determine this? Is it triangle congruence or the diagram? Got to go from the diagram. So again, this is memory lane. See diagram. And you gotta get it from the diagram in the end. Here, again, the triangle congruence. Follow the order. Here, check your congruence, like which one? Check the diagram. Okay, questions? I'll go back real quick. So we're good on this one? Good. Here. First triangle determines order. The second triangle congruence. We'll get your diagram. Okay. Now this one again we know is, since we have the shared side, obviously this is what type of, which one of these do we have again?
Side.
Yeah, it's all sides. We have side, side. Yep, side. Now, first triangle, you want to use, okay, that's what, which triangle do you want to use first? The one that's on the left or the one that's on the right? You tell us.
The right one.
Okay, how do you want to name? We'll shade it. We're going to shade this one in yellow. How do you want to name the yellow triangle? Who wants to give us a name for that yellow triangle?
XYZ.
All right, that's fine with me. X, Y. Notice he went X to Y, which was 1. Y to Z was 2. And then, of course, you got to go to 3. And you got to follow that order. So when again, you want to go from 1 to 2 to 3. Now the question is, where do we start in this triangle? The one that I'm gonna shade in green. Which direction must we start? Well, where must we start? You gotta go from Z to W to X, that's right. Here, you gotta go Z, W, X. Because if you went from W to Z, okay, that's fine, that's one side. But then, the second one from Z to X, that was 3. So it would have been 1, 3, 2. Is that the same order as 1, 2, 3? No, that's why I gotta watch that order. So that's another way to think about these triangle congruences. All right. So sorry for that. I apologize for that mix-up, everybody. Okay, questions on this one? So again, you get the number. We need diagram. Here. Again, look at the order. Watch that order. All right. Questions? I think the next one's going to be different, though. This one's different, right? All right, well, who would like to take a guess as to which one of these 5 options?
Angle side.
All right, Catherine saying angle side. Agree or disagree with the angle side? Des is agreeing. Jason's agreeing. So is Alex. What about you, Andy? Agree or disagree with the angle side deal? Edwin, what about you? Agree or disagree? She's saying it's angle side. All right. That is the correct answer. Because here what happened is, when you split up your angles, the angle, we know are going to be congruent right away. And then, let's say we split this into 2 smaller triangles like that. Well, what 2 letters do we see in both? What side do we see in both triangles? Who can tell us? What side is seen in both? We'll break this up. Bigger. Which one? Careful. What side do we see in both triangles? Okay. What 2 letters?
W.
And WZ. Notice that WZ. You see both of those guys here and there. So we see both W and Z. So, and then we can say right away, that's going to be, there's your side deal. So in the end, yeah, it's going to be an angle side. Now, if some of you wrote it as side, angle, is that acceptable? Would I have accepted side, angle? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's okay too. Now, let's figure out a triangle congruence. XWZ, okay. X, W, see? Careful. Okay, with X, how many arcs? How many arcs does the X have? Two. So it's gonna be Y. So we have two arcs here. So that, now we're going with arcs. Right there. So arcs. So why? Because they have two. W has one. And then Z, that's going to have 0. Yeah, you got to be careful with those. So that's it. So it's going to be a combination of arcs and slash marks. Here, with angles, it's easier to do it with the arcs. And then we saw right away. Here, does it again, first triangle, they're going to give you that order. Second one, you got to follow the first. Questions? Questions on this one? Yeah, and again, always, if you want to split your diagram into two separate triangles, if that's going to help you. Again, this diagram. This. Again, wear that order. Again, first triangle doesn't matter, but it does for the second. Okay, questions? All right, this one we started, these problems we started talking about towards the end of last week. Now again, remember, get that angle side angle, you get that from the diagram. So they told us that angle A and angle D were congruent. And why are they congruent? How many arcs do both angle A and angle D have? Two arcs, that's right. So that's two arcs. You want to. So that's our angle. Angle. And then they said B and E were congruent because they both have how many arcs? One. Now, this problem, you're just going to fill in. What side must we have in order to get an angle side angle? So let's look at the first triangle. What side? AC, AB, or BC will give us the angle side angle. What side must we have in order to get angle side angle? Which one? Okay, so we said BC. Yeah, we want angle side angle. So will BC work? Which one? Well, ACB. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me rephrase. So what we need to do, we need to fill out the missing part. They're gonna give you two pieces of information. So angle A, D are congruent, B and E are congruent. What we're gonna do, we wanna figure out what is the third piece of information, such that in the end, our two triangles will be congruent by way of angle side angle. A and B. That's what we want in the end. We want AB DE. They have to match up. Because now, so this side was congruent. They're saying this side is congruent. Now do we have our angle side angle deal? We have our angle side angle. Yeah, we do. Because in the end, okay, we found out these two angles, they're congruent to these two respectively. But the way to get the angle side angle, the side in between the two angles has to match the side between the two angles of the other triangle. So in the end, notice how we have ASA, right? Is that what we wanted? That's what we wanted. Again, you get this from the diagram. You gotta make sure once you get that diagram, you gotta make sure your diagram, how you mark it, matches what you have for the final result. It's gotta match. Okay, questions on that problem? Okay? All right, and we're going to practice some of these ones. All right, let's look at this one. They said, okay, we want to prove that these two triangles are congruent by side angle side. Now, they said that side BA, with a single slash mark, would it be A and C? Okay, Des is saying, would A and C have to be congruent? But they have to be congruent to each other to get the side angle side deal. Catherine's agreeing to you. Why? Why do you agree?
Because both of them have to be equal. If both of them equal. So the angles would have to be equal as well, along with the side.
Okay. But why else? Well, anybody else want to add? You're right. So in the end, you got your two sides. So the angle that forms those two sides, you want that to be congruent as well. In the end, do we have our side angle side deal?
Yeah.
No. Again, diagram. Questions? All right. Okay, so does everybody see where you get the two pieces of information? You have to figure out that third piece of information such that you can set the two triangles congruent by way of what they want. All right. Anybody questions before we go to the next one? Because I think we're almost done with, I think we're almost finished with this. How many more pages do we have? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. About much faster than I had anticipated. Okay, no worries. All right. This one's gonna be a little bit tougher. A lot of information here. However, we're gonna be going down memory lane here. All right. So they told us P and N are gonna be congruent. We agree to that, right? Now, in the end, what type of triangle congruence what's the one we must have? What's the triangle congruence we must have in the end? What three letters? You could either look here or here. What's the goal? What triangle congruence? Angle side. All right. So that's what we want. We want angle side as the goal. Now, so we want it so we have a couple things they gave us. One thing they gave us what's that? What they, okay. All right. Okay, let's start again. I apologize. This is my fault. We're gonna restart the question. Okay. Right away they told us this piece of information, right? That's given. So we agree. Angle N, angle P are congruent, right? Now, another piece of information is actually here. M is your midpoint between L and O. What does that mean then? If M is the midpoint between L and O. What can we say about the distance between L to M and M to O? What can we say about the M is your midpoint? They're going to be the same in the end. They're going to be the same. Anytime you have a midpoint, the midpoint is exactly in the middle. It's going to split. Let's say you have a big distance. Midpoint's exactly in the middle. That's something we talked about. So a very important note. LM and MO, or ML, MO are going to be congruent. That's because midpoint is a midpoint bisects. That's going to be a segment bisector. And this is why we talked about midpoint at the beginning of the year. I'm just going to abbreviate segment bisector. Yeah, anytime you have a midpoint, that's a segment bisector. That's going to split your overall line into two equal smaller parts. So there's your side right there. But now but what's our goal? what must the goal be? We want angle, angle, side, right? Now, one other thing we know is going to be right here. What do we know about those two angles right there? What do we know? Relationship between this angle, and I'm going to say PNL, and NMO. What do we know about the relationship between?
Are they equal?
Why? You're right, they're equal.
Because of the bisector.
Not so much that. Begins with a V.
Right, but they are equal, right?
They're equal, you're right. That's the reason why. They're equal because they're vertical. So, yeah, they're going to be congruent. Because we're going to be dealing with this often between now and the end of the school year. So, yeah, we go from P to M to L. N to M to O. Now, in the end, do we have our angle, angle, side deal going on here? Or the side, angle, angle deal? Okay, in the end, we will. Then again, remember to get this from the diagram. Okay. Questions on this problem? I know this one was a little more work. Because in the end, what happened was the information. I know we haven't seen midpoint in a little while. Vertical angles. But again, those are going to be hints. Anytime you have the two, sort of like a bow tie, vertical angles are going to be congruent. Anytime you see midpoint, it's going to tell us segments are going to be congruent. So that's stuff we've done in the past. All right, questions on this one? I know it's been a little while since we did these types of problems. All right. Now this last one's going to be, well, they gave us two sets that are congruent, and they're telling us in the end we're going to have a side-side-side congruence. Now, if we break up the triangle, and I figure we'll end these types of problems on an easy note. In both cases, for both triangles, what two letters appear in both triangles? D and B. That's right. Now, can we say that D and B are congruent to each other from the first triangle and the second triangle? Yeah. You can say that. So you said BD and then DB, or so on, or if you flipped it, I think I had it actually, I think I flipped this one actually gently. Now, Does anybody remember why? I know this one we haven't seen in a while. Why can we say BD and BD are congruent to each other? Begins with an R.
Reflective.
You're close. So you're on the right track. Almost. Think about, okay, when you're moving your arm. If something's coming at you, you are testing your arm.
Reflection.
Reflex.
Reflex. So in this case, it's gonna be the reflexive property. Which we don't see too often, but it's just more for understanding. Reflexive property, so if you see it on both sides, both triangles, that's really what it is more than anything. So that's why these two are going to be, that's why you can say BD is congruent to BD, because the reflexive property. And that's why it's going to be a side, side, side. Because in both triangles, all three are marked with sides. You agree with that?
Yeah.
And again, you get this from the diagram. All right. Questions on this one? Back? Here and back.
On the last page.
Yep. Now, the last page is just going to be more, we're filling in why things are congruent. Why the triangles are going to be congruent to each other. So we're basically down to the last page. Yeah, okay, this one the diagram did not come up the best.
Very pixely.
Yeah. I'll write the letters again. W, Y, Z, Q. So now what's going to happen, they're going to just give you some information. You need to figure out why certain things are going to be congruent. So what's going to happen? The first thing I told us, XZ and QY are both bisected here. Boom. W is your midpoint between Q and Y and X and Z. So if W is your midpoint, let's say between Q and Y, what can we say about the distance between Q and W and the distance between W and Y? What can we say about them? W is your midpoint between Q and Y. What can we say the relationship between Q and W and Y will be? Yes, page. So this is your midpoint. So need be, I'll just draw a line. Q, Y, W is your midpoint. What can we say about between Q and W? W and Y. What can we say about the relationship between this distance and that distance?
They're equal.
Yeah, they're congruent. They're equal to each other. So, boom. Q to W. W to Y are going to be congruent. Now, we say the same thing with X and W, X and Z. Basically, you get the same thing going on. X, W, Z. Again, W is your midpoint. So similar to before, what can we say about X and W? W to Z. They are
Equal.
Yep, they're congruent as well. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So far, what do we have right now? We have how many sides? We got two sides. So we have a side and a side. Okay. Now, we need to prove it's going to be an SAS in the end. You're right. Yeah, you're 100% correct. We're going to have an SAS in the end. But why can't we say it's an SAS? What do we know about this angle and that angle? Why? Bingo, that's it. That's the reason why. You can say that because what happened here, you got vertical angles. That's all you had to do. Because once we found out that these they're congruent, and then with this diagram, you see that you got that angle right here. The congruent angle is between two sets of congruent sides, so that's all. There you go. Boom. There's your SAS right there. It's all right. We're almost done with down to the last of the new stuff. So that might be something that you might see, but again, midpoints, vertical angles, those are going to be key concepts going forward. All right, questions with this problem here? So on the test, they're going to tell, you're going to get something like this on your test. But you have to understand, okay, midpoints make sides congruent to each other. And then with the bow tie, you get your vertical angles. You want to do the last one?
We got time for the last one.
Oh, yeah. I need time for the last one. All right. Okay, last one. All right. So they told us N is a midpoint of AB. What's that? Okay, so now they're saying PM is congruent to PM. Okay, yeah, it's going to be the mirror. I agree. Yeah, this is going to mirror everything. Yeah, you can. All right, I'm agreeing with you. So that's your mirror. All right. APM. BPM. Okay. Got that. So they said AM and BM. They're saying that they're congruent because M is a midpoint. So we can say that these sides are congruent, right? M is your midpoint between A and B. AM and B are congruent. They also told us that AP was congruent to BP. Yeah, it was that one too. Now, the last piece of information. Okay, in the end, it's going to be a side deal. You're right, that's going to be 100% side. Okay, so it's and then there was another name for it. We just talked about it.
Reflexive property.
Reflexive, yeah, because you're right. This is a mirror. That's all right. But in the end, boom, that's a reflection property right here.
You know what I see too? Reflection?
Yep, reflexive.
Look,
Reflexive. Think about like reflexes. When you're
and you just put the I for the VE, right?
IVE, yeah, reflexive. Yep.
I am smart, right? Mr. Carter, am I not smart?
You are smart.
Told you.
You all are smart. Okay, so basically that's really it regarding our review.
That's it?
For the review.
We're taking the test next time?
Yeah,
Next Monday?
Monday.
This specific problem would be on the test.
Is it an open?
Similar. It's good. What you see, bring this back.
What about the other one?
Wait, so it will be open now?
Just this.
So we can only use this?
Only use that.
Okay, okay.
Uh-uh.
Wait, is it because the other one isn't the same one as this one?
Well, it was a little different because there was some stuff towards the end. I'd rather you focus on what you're gonna see. Or you're gonna see something very similar.
So we're done.
All right. Basically, your homework.